Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Nice to see you all. Nice to see you. Nice. Look who I've got with me. I've got Susanna. Oh my God, Kate. I'm so excited this morning. Today, we are going to be talking, we're going to be chatting about random things as we always do. Yeah. But we're going to be talking about taking yourself to the limit and how to go beyond. Because we are all capable of anything that we truly, truly want. So it's quite funny, actually. This morning, in my motivational minute, I did it. I always do it so that I say about my talk that anyone that wants to join us, that we're going to be here. So I had it all planned out my morning. Of course I did. So I got up. I've been getting up 5:45 every single morning, getting Ethan's packed lunch ready, getting ready for school, getting him up at 6, doing his little sim-proof thing, which is like his probiotics, doing everything I need to do, getting him up at 6:30, being out of the house by 7:10. That's it. Go to school. Bang. Every day. Now, normally on a Thursday and on a Tuesday, he stays with my mum and dad because he has like extra tuition because he's got his exams in January, right? So he gets extra tuition. So by the time we finish there, it's quite late. So he stays there. My mum and dad love having him. But since the second lockdown, he's in his school. Year 5 are now completely off, and year 3 are now completely off. And I wanted to try and keep it a little bit separate. So we all, we're just trying to be mindful of what's going on out there. So he's still going to have his tuition, but then he comes home and stays at home on a Thursday and Tuesday. So literally it's 5:45 every day for me, just like starting it all off. So anyway, this is the thing, right? Oh my gosh. So that's the background. 5:45 I get up this morning, do everything that I'm meant to be doing. Ethan up, 6:30, get him dressed, breakfast, all the shebang, right? Go to my sister's house before school because we go and see her for like 10 minutes before we go into the school. Go to the school, drop him off. He's walking up the road to the school. And for some reason, I just waited by the car a little bit longer this morning because I just did. I had a feeling. And all of a sudden, I see this figure like this running towards the car, running back, right? And his bags are flapping out all over the place. I'm like, what the? And he's running up to the car. Mommy, he's got tears in his eyes. I'm like, what's wrong? He's going, it's PE. It's PE today. And he's meant to be wearing his PE kit, right? I'm like, oh my God, because I'm not used to Fridays. I didn't even think about it. I'm like, okay, don't worry. I'll get it to you, right? Because this is all at 8:25 a.m. Great. So I live 15 minutes away from the school. So I I'm just driving back home. Dogs in the back, falling all over the place while I'm driving, like to get home. Got home, said to the dog, stay there. Got into the house, grabbed his stuff. Thank God I knew where it was, which is always a blessing in my house, trust me. Got back in the car, drove all the way to the school. The dog's flying all over the place. It's madness. Got to the school, went into the office and gave it to them, all before 9 o'clock. Then I had to get back, do my motivational minute, which I did. Then I had something to eat, and now I'm here with you. So yeah, things aren't as planned, but when you've got to do something, you just do it, right? And that is mindset. Like it's almost like it's an autopilot, because everything else, it just will work. What's meant for you, it's the flow. So like how you look at those challenges that you get faced in life, it's completely like you can either panic or you just get on with it and do what needs to be done. And here we are now speaking. So to your limits and beyond. When you said that, Susie, I was like, absolutely brilliant. And it's so much to do with like mindset and feeling unstoppable, acting as if unstoppable, believing it, and having a clear vision of what you want and going for it, whether that be in a day-to-day life or in your dreams and your goals, anything you really want to do. Visualization is extremely important, because it's not just the seeing it, it's the feeling it. The feeling as if you've already got it. What's that feeling going to feel like when you've succeeded and you're celebrating that success, whatever it may be? And so that's how you can exceed your limits, because the only limits we actually have are the ones that we put on ourselves. And if you think that you can't, you just won't, right? What do you reckon? I'm throwing it out there. Go on, Susie. It was your idea.
Well, it was my idea, yeah. Well, of course, I'm inspired by the circumstances that I'm going through in my life. You know, for those of you who
Yes.
don't know, my daughter, she's been having this back problem since a while now. I say actually since the first, our life starts to be counted from confinement to confinement. So it's actually in the first confinement that it started, and so it's been quite challenging, and it still is. She's
Yeah.
going through lots of pain and suffering. So you can imagine that the limits that I feel, um, and the way I feel them, it's quite challenging, because there's not that much that you can do. There's some stuff that you can do, but there's some things that you can only witness, and you just go with the flow and what you can do then, there and then, in the moment. And I've had lots of reflections on that, and that's why I wanted to talk about it, because I think, and coming from the spiritual perspective, and I've always been in the spiritual path, um, we forget in this quest for that success that you mentioned earlier, and I totally agree with you with what you said. But also there are situations in life when you kind of put with your back against the wall,
Yeah,
and
of course.
what you do then. And the
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 journey.
the
The
whole
journey.
idea of spirituality is also letting go and allowing a greater force to intervene when you reach those limits. And this is where I am now. And I had two reflections yesterday, and I've had many, but maybe talking to you, I'll remember them. But the two that I had, and I've been working with lately, is letting go. This was my main question. What do I do now when I can't do much? When I can't do much, when I can't do more for my daughter? What do you do? Like, how do you cope with this limit?
For me, okay, so
No, I will just share quickly what I
yeah,
came
no,
to.
please do.
Yeah.
Yeah, what? Yeah,
And so reflecting on that, I remember something that I've studied during my Gurdjieff group experience when I was back in Montreal. Probably you've heard of Gurdjieff. No?
good, Jeff. Never,
Gurdjieff,
never.
yes, the fourth way. It's a very interesting path. I learned a great deal through this practice.
What is that? What is?
Well, Gurdjieff is an Armenian guy who started this, what he called the fourth way, as opposed to the yogi, the monk, and the fakir. All right. So he created this fourth way for the Westerner, for somebody, for the modern man who cannot go in a groove and meditate in the mountains. So how do you do, and how do you apply those spiritual practices from the East when you are living in the West? So it's a very interesting work on yourself. And one of the things that he mentioned was this deal, this contract that you sometimes, or most of the time, you have to do when you require something from the universe. Okay. So let's say if I want to get something, I have to get something in return. It's a sort of a sacrifice, if you want. You have to sacrifice something in order to get something else. It's a law. It's a law of nature.
Okay.
Yeah. It's all it is an exchange.
You give what you get. You get what you
Yes. And
give.
so, yeah, but the idea of the sacrifice is not what we think. You don't have to give up on something good. You
No.
have to give up on something bad, like a bad habit, or a bad thinking, or something that you do that is not good for you. So that's quite a good deal, because it's a win-win scenario at the end.
Yeah.
So what I decided to do was to give up on all ideas of victimization. So every time
Good.
I feel a victim in this scenario, on this life challenge that I'm going through, and it's not easy. I have to tell it 1,000 times. It's hard like hell to see your kids suffering and you can't do anything about it. It's the worst thing that somebody can think of or imagine.
Yes, it
So,
is.
so I decided that every time I have this victimization, thought, or I feel like a victim, that I say I am grateful for everything that I have, and I'm grateful that God takes care of my daughter. That's my thing. Okay. So, because my question was, how do you let go when you are in the middle of this? And this, I discovered, this is one of the ways. Concretely speaking, how do you let go when you face a limit is by that action, that intention, and that choice that you make in the moment. I let go. There's no other way to let go but by choosing to let go in the instant. Like every time you feel that you are in the limit and you feel depressed, down, despair, whatever you feel, rather than feeling that, I say, okay, I still choose to believe. I still choose to let go. I still choose to feel grateful. So that was my first reflection. So that in that contract, so I make a contract. I choose to give up on being a victim to have some help with my daughter. I know it might sound silly, but you don't know what you're capable of doing when you're going through this type of things.
Absolutely.
And secondly, I had a thought or maybe you want to intervene, and I'll tell you my second trick. Maybe Kate, you want to say something, and because when I talk, I can talk forever.
I love your talk.
Oh, continue. Keep going, Susanna. Then I'll come in.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So the second thought that I had lately was Bhagavad Gita. Right? You've heard of Bhagavad Gita. It's one of the
Bhagavad Gita.
It's part of the Mahabharata, the greatest Indian epic, and it's one of the oldest texts. And it's in this dialogue between Arjuna and God that the whole teaching is being introduced. So Arjuna is a warrior. He's on a battlefield, and he is hesitating to go in the battle because the war takes place between the two parts of the same family. So basically, he's going to kill his own family if he goes in the war. So he's there in a panic mode and he starts praying. God shows to him, lucky him. I wish God showed up to me and answered all my questions. And in this dialogue, we find out all the answers that we are looking for basically in life. And the advice that he gets is that he has to go in the battle, that you have to choose. Once you're there, you have to fight. You can't back up, you can't chicken out, you can't try to find a way to escape it. You are on the battlefield, you have to fight. However, you have to fight without having expectations or without worrying about the fruit, like how that is going to turn. You may win, you may lose, but the strength that is required of you when you are in a battlefield is to do whatever you have to do with that detachment of the fruit of your own action. So reflecting on that, I said, hey, I'm on this spiritual path. This is the situation when I have to apply those principles. It's nice to be positive and spiritual and everything goes well in your life, right?
Well,
but when it's challenging, it's then that you have to apply. And my limits are with my daughter, but I bet that many people have many limits now. There are many people in France that commit suicide because they can't go on with the businesses. All right. So the limits are various and they're challenging and they're hard to deal with.
Yeah, they are.
So when it happens, it's then that I have to apply it, right? Why would I know? Okay, I read Bhagavad Gita, I know what it means, but now when it's hard, I ignore it. No. So I said, okay, I have to choose in this battle. I have to choose on which side I am. And so the choice I made is to be on the side of faith, of God, and of the good that is out there. And I'll do everything that I can for my daughter. And I let it up to him because
that's
right. More that I can do. So this is my experience with limits.
Yeah. Can I just say?
Physical and emotional limits. Yes, love.
When Ethan had the reaction to the MMR and he was in a coma for 6 weeks, that tested every single part of me as a person, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, every single part of me.
Yeah.
And I realized that the only way that I could feel at peace, because it is a peace that you need to feel, because I wasn't at peace, and you feel, because it's your child, it's everything, this is a part of you that is something you can't do anything for. And I get it totally. But it's almost like you have to kind of like rise up a little bit, step back and just trust, and it's faith. And that analogy of when there's a story that about a man walking along the beach and he sees footprints, and he sees two steps of footprints along, and then he was suffering and there was only one set of footprints, and then he asked God, he goes, you've been with me all the way, why when I was suffering was only one set of footprints? And he goes, it was then that I carried you. And that to me is one of the most powerful stories. It makes me go goosebumps, because we really are carried, like, I mean, I truly honestly believe from internally that spiritually we are guided, and all the friction that we do go through, I mean, because life is a challenge. Life is a challenge.
Yeah.
And some are worse than others, right? There's day-to-day challenges, and then there's the big challenges that we all face. But if you can kind of like just, and it's easier to say than do, but I have done it, and I've experienced it, and it's possible. So if you can just step back, realize it's out of your control. It's completely out of your control. It's in the laps of the gods. It's in the guidance of the universe, and just trust. And all you can do is what you can do. All the love that you can give, all the pain, everything that you're giving, it won't affect that situation, but you have to kind of almost internalize it and focus back on yourself and give yourself what it needs to get through to the next moment.
Yeah.
And to be at peace, because it's about that peace. So yeah, Kate, what do you because we were talking about this other day, weren't we, Kate? Almost with the mountain stream, weren't we? It's like
Kate is emerging from light there. She is the light.
I'm in the sun.
You are the light and the truth.
Yes, it's slowly creeping across me. So yeah, I'm never ever complaining about the sun, because I love the sunshine. Yeah, I guess like the word control is a big one for me, because I kind of grew up trying to control everything in life, thinking I could, and obviously failing at just about everything, because what can we really control in life? And it's, you know, when you work it out, I actually made a list once trying to think of all the things I can control, all the things I can't control. And the things I can control was a very short list. And it was pretty much just the things that are kind of within me and the things that I do. And even that is like a lifetime of practice to be able to even get anywhere close to, I mean, control doesn't really cut it. You can't even really control that. What you can do is kind of regulate yourself a bit. And that's really kind of what I do with people, help them to regulate themselves. But the control bit, you know, that's kind of like a lifetime practice. But I think that the whole thing about letting go is letting go of trying to control something. And it's like, as we know, all suffering is resistance to what is. And so kind of accepting things as they are, but wanting them to be different, and doing what you can control to make them different. And then it's the letting go bit, which is, as you say, it's really, really hard. And if there are bargains to be made, then I think, because I mean, I don't really believe in like a supreme being or anything that's guiding my life. I believe I do have agency, and I believe that the more I can be true to whatever's within me, which is part of that is like this kind of interconnectedness of everything. And I absolutely believe that we are kind of like I see it's like a spiral. So like we're like a spiral. Imagine like, you know, like you see the Milky Way, the galaxy, and in the middle there's this black hole. Well, and it sucks all the light in. Well, often we just get stuck in the black hole, and we're in there and we're stuck, and we're being sucked down, and we just think there's no light and everything's hopeless, and we're just feeling this pressure because the black hole just takes all the matter in and just pressurizes it into this tiny little dense space. And we feel trapped and we feel stuck, and maybe we're on the outside and we're just running around in circles trying not to get sucked in. And then most of us, I think, are in that space running around. You're scared if you let go that you'll get sucked in, and then what happens? And so there's this whole thing of letting go, but also moving out at the same time. And I think maybe that's a bit like that bargaining you were talking about, Susie, where you're letting go to what is, but also making a bargain to make it better. So you actually step out of that black hole and you actually get out into the outside in the galaxy, and there's space out there, and there's light, there's millions of suns, you know, all out there, and they're all, and there's everybody else as well that's out there, that resources you didn't even know you had, because you were so caught up in this spirally circle that just sucking you down. And so, or just trying not to get sucked in. So I think the more you can just do that, learn to step out, accept it as it is. So you're not resisting, but also making some sort of action that is a positive action that takes you into that more of a mindset of what's possible, rather than thinking that nothing's possible.
Or at least stop that chain of thought that is keeping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that takes a lot of awareness, doesn't it? So you've got to know you're there in the first place. And then there's this whole thing of trying to balance the feeling, which part of that is acceptance, but also looking and seeing the goodness, like you say, the gratefulness. What can you be grateful for? What you can look at it through a lens of it's all doom and gloom, or you can look at it through a lens of there's hope and something more beyond where we're at. And even the hardest pain. I mean, I've been through some severe pain in my time, and kind of like the pain is never quite as bad as the resistance to it and all the judgment about it and all of that. And as soon as I let go of that, then the pain is, no matter how bad it is, it kind of becomes bearable once you let go of how wrong it is. It's not fair, why me, and all this sort of stuff that happens. And like taking whatever action you can, and then it is kind of letting go of that resistance and being, well, what can I do now to move on? And maybe the bargain is, well, I'm going to help somebody that's even in a worse case than I'm at. And that can lift you up, whatever it is to lift you up somehow, to get you into a more of a kind of a positive way of thinking. And people that have been through the most horrendous lives still find meaning in that. I mean, there's like the book Viktor Frankl wrote from his time in the concentration camps, Auschwitz, and lost all of his family, and he survived the horrendous treatment, and he found meaning in it, even to the extent where he was, built relationships with the guards that were killing his friends, but he found meaning and he found purpose. And it's all about finding whatever works for you. And that's the thing, isn't it? There's no one thing. It's what is it for you? Finding your happiness, your inner bliss, isn't it? Well, it's kind of like I see, because people talk about this core part of us that is this beautiful shining light, but I don't see it as inside. I see it as outside, and we get too closed in to the dark part, and we need to move out, to expand out. And the more we expand out, the more we connect with others and find other resources that we didn't know existed because we were too shut in and trying to protect ourselves. And I agree. Stressed and everything. And I see it's like a look out, it's out there. And I think people, when they get in their brains get in like a depressed state, they don't see that because they're too inward. And it's the more you can look out, get out there. And I think that's why the whole lockdown thing and COVID and everything is making us forget that. Yeah. And yes, we are starting to connect more online, and there are beautiful things happening with people that never used to get together now are getting together because they've got that way of connecting, and they've upgraded their software and done what they've needed to do to be able to do that. And I've said within my family, quizzes around the world we've been doing on a Saturday night and stuff, connecting Australia and the UK and us in France and whatever. So it's been lovely to do that connecting, but it's easy to get in this tight little world and get stuck in that sort of running around in circles and getting sucked down into that dark place where just looking out and seeing more of the brighter thing. And that is, to me, is letting go. It is a letting go of all these parts of us that are telling us how things are, how life is, and these negative beliefs we have about ourselves and about the world. And we start getting closed, more and more enclosed into this little tighter and tighter space, and the stress gets bigger and bigger. And then if we keep resisting that, then we just run out of energy, and then we get into this depressed place. And so I think that you get that enclosed in, that you just choose not to feel like that anymore. Because I remember when I was going through a really tough time in my life, oh my gosh, and on the outside no one would have known it, but on the inside I felt nothing, and I was numb to the world. And I'd
I'd been left by my partner, and I'd been left by my best friend, and you know, I just had a baby as well. My thyroid hadn't been diagnosed yet. I mean, I was in a really bad place, like, and I went to see a counsellor for maybe like 4 or 5 sessions, and the counsellor didn't do NLP. I wish I'd have known back then what I know now, but she didn't do NLP, and she just sat there and she didn't do anything. She didn't, and I talked, and I was thinking, this isn't really helping me, because this is kind of like something that I've got to come to myself. And I got to the point where I was so numb that it was like the ice cube had to melt. And I just chose that I did not want to feel like this anymore. And whatever it takes, I'm going to get better. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to find my strength. I'm going to get better. So on the last session that I went to with her, I said, I don't need to come to you anymore. She goes, oh, do you want to book another 6 sessions or whatever it was, or 5 sessions? And I said, no, I don't need to come to you anymore. And she goes, what do you mean? I said, well, I don't need to come to you anymore. I'm choosing to do this. And she was asking me like a list of questions, but what would you do if this, or what would you do if that? And I was just answering everything correctly, kind of thing. And she was like, oh, okay then. And then I just went off, and I found Reiki at that point. Reiki really helped me. And I started to like value myself again, you know, and yeah, that was a really, really dark time, but it got to that point where it just had to melt. I had to melt. I had to choose. And
what were the limits back then? So how would you define the limits in that experience that you had?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Where were the limits?
The limits were internal, because the limits were, the limits was a choice, and the choice was, I was either going to live or die, because I was just basically dying. And I wanted to live, and I chose to live. It was literally black and white. Yeah. I'm going to either live or die.
It comes to making that choice. You have to make a choice at a certain point. See, that's the thing.
That's it. And we have no control of the external. All we can do is just send love to it, and gratitude, and just all that pain, switch it around to love. Because that's all we can give. That's all we can do.
See, that's the thing, because since you've been there, you can share with everybody watching now.
Yeah.
What do you do when you're numb like that? Because you can't feel that love, you can't feel that gratitude, but you know, the only thing you feel is numbness, the willingness to die. How do you do it to come out of it?
Do you know what? You get to the point where you just, as I say, it's a choice. I was numb until I chose. It was a period of numbness until I was so numb that there was no. It was literally a choice of living and dying. It wasn't like something happened and then this happened, you know, the choice happened. It was literally a period of numbness until I decided that I didn't want to be numb anymore. And must have felt the internal strength, because we all have it locked away. And whatever we're dealing, I mean, like, we want to heal, you know, as human beings, we try and heal. Our bodies heal, our skin heals, our hearts heal. Yes, we've got memories, and we hold on to the memories, and, you know, and that's really important, because we are made of our memories as well. But we're so much more than that. We want to heal. So you get to the point where you're that numb that you're going to do whatever it takes. That was the choice, live or die. I chose to live. Okay, so if I choose to live, what do I have to do to be able to live? And that was where I started connecting with the things that really helped me, with the
limit of numbness then.
The limit of numbness, yeah. The limit of numbness. Because we don't really have limits. This is the point, I think. I don't think that we have limits. I think we're limitless. But we put ourselves in limits, yeah.
And I think
go on. Sorry, Kate.
No, I was going to just add to that, because you were talking about this numbness, and of course I come from that as well, because for me, I sort of shut down so much, my body shut down too, and I got to a stage where I went completely numb on one side of my body, and and it's
Oh, yeah, I
started
remember
spreading
you
over the other
mentioning
side.
that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this, and that's what started me on this whole road. This was back in my late 20s, like nearly 30 years ago. And I couldn't really believe that my mind and just kind of stress and my way of being was creating this inside of me. I just couldn't believe it. And so I started looking into the whole mind-body connection and how your mind can drive you to these physical ways of suffering as well. And then obviously the body can do the same to the mind, and really the mind kind of is the body and the body is the mind. So it is all just one thing, but we like to think of it in different sections, but really it's all just one. But I think my biggest insight into all of this was how it kind of works in terms of the science of it, which is very interesting. So we have like this one big nerve in our body called the vagus nerve, which kind of just, it connects the brain and every part of the brain with kind of every part of our body. And 20% of communication is down from the head to the body, and 80% is talking back up. And so there's more intelligence in the body than in the head, because there's more communication going, but the head kind of controls things. And because the head has language, it's decided that it's in charge and tells everyone it's in charge. And so this part of our brain just says, well, because I have language, I've decided I'm the leader, you know. Wow. And the vagus nerve is what decides whether we're stressed or not. And most of our communication comes up from our gut. So this thing about gut feel and intuition and fear is always usually around the gut area. And that's our biggest brain, really, in terms of how we feel.
Yeah.
And it tells the brain how we're feeling. The gut tells the brain. It's not the brain, not the head saying, oh, I feel like this. That's always coming from down below. And then the heart is the next biggest communicator. So the gut, then the heart, then the head.
Wow.
And so, but this vagus nerve tells us how we're stressed or not stressed. And it decides based on what's happening outside of us and how we interpret it with, because the brain will come up with, we feel something and the brain says, oh, this means this. And so then we have all this meaning associated with it. But the vagus nerve isn't just like stress versus no stress. It also is the shutdown as well. And it will put us into a shutdown mode if we need to completely shut down. And that's what you're talking about. And that's what happened to me too. I've driven myself so far and to total almost exhaustion, trying to prove myself to be this perfect performer in my business and my work and everything else. Trying to impress my parents, as if I was still a child, this sort of thing going on with me, driving myself too far, pushing my body. And my body said, stop, and you're going to stop now. And it stopped me in my tracks. And the same for you. You just had a baby, you'd had this breakup, all these things that happened to you, Danielle. So your energy was at all-time low and your body just says, right, you have to stop. Yeah. And so we get into this shutdown mode until we get the energy to come back out.
That's right.
But you don't come out and get into calmness. You come out and get into all the other emotions again. And that's scary to go, because you have to go through the energy of the anger, the guilt, the sadness, whatever all these feelings are you're trying to avoid. You have to go through those to get to the calm part at the other end. And so our body is protecting us all the time. And I heard a great, just a message about depression, saying depressed is just deep rest.
Interesting. That's nice.
So don't see it as depressed as if it's a bad thing. Deep rest is, you need deep rest, and that's,
I like that.
And that's what your body is doing for you. It's shutting you down and saying, right, you need to just conserve some energy now. And when your energy gets to a level at which you can cope, then we'll start feeling feelings again. And that's what you went through, and that's what I went through.
Interesting what you said there just then, though, because you said, and then you have to, after that, you deal with the other emotions of anger and see. I actually went the other way around. I had all those anger and emotional traumas and everything, and then got the numbness. So I had that.
Well, no, you have to go. Yeah, you're right. You start off, generally everything's okay. Then you get something happens, and then you get all these emotions, but they take so much energy.
Yes, then you're numb.
But you then go down to right, I've got to shut down. Can't cope with this anymore. Shut down. That's and right. Then it's like, and then you've got to come back out the other side, but you have to go through them again
See, I didn't.
Well,
That's
well, if you didn't, then they're still stuck in there somewhere.
no.
There is, at some point, you've got to deal with those feelings because they're not dealt with.
No, what I mean is at the end of that numbness, all I could focus on was getting better. So it wasn't externalized in a hate or a fear or anything like that. It was survival. How do I get better? That's where my focus was. That's what I'm trying to say is I had all that locked away. I dealt with my NLP.
There you go. That's what I mean. If you don't at some point, you've got to deal with it. Yeah. And it's like from that dark place it's shut down, hibernation, deep rest, whatever you call it. Then it's scary to think I've got to come out at some point. And maybe you're still kind of shutting them out to deal. You've just got enough energy, but you're not dealing yet. So until you get the energy to then start dealing with the stuff, because you don't really truly live until you've dealt with all of that.
No, I agree, because it was only when I found NLP that I really started healing. So that was eternal gratitude.
That's the difference between surviving and thriving, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Surrounding yourself with everything that makes you feel like authentically you and feel better and feel like you want to live again. And then once you're at that point, then you can heal. And that's when you can find.
As I said, I think that's the limit of the bad feeling, because there's always that far down that we can go, you know. And I think limits, you see, I think it's limits are a notion and a concept, in a sense that we perceive our body having a limit. We perceive that there is a limitation to something, but it is as if you say night has its limits or a day has its limits. There's no real end to night, and then you have the day starting. It's always a transition from one aspect to another. Yeah. The only reason for which we perceive limits is because our mind cannot, our limited mind, not the superior meditative mind, this very like daily mind that we use, the thinking mind, cannot conceive infinity, cannot conceive something that doesn't start and end. So this is where the limits are. The body, I mean, matter itself has laws, because this is what I'm experiencing now with my daughter. I'm observing nature and how her body is responding to certain things. But these are not limits. These are just rules of functioning. If I put my hand in a boiling water, I will burn. I will not say that my body has a limit. It's just a law of nature. It's a law of functioning. So what we consider as limits are just laws that we can choose to follow or not to follow. I can choose not to put my hand in hot water, and then I will not get that burn. Can I say that my body has limits of enduring heat? Yeah. But these are the only limits. The limits that we are exposed to or that we perceive are simply the limits that help us survive. Mm-hmm. I can only go and survive in an environment that has that much oxygen. Yeah. Or between this temperature and this temperature. So there are limits if you want. These are my reflections on the limitations and limits. There are certain rules that we have to follow to stay alive, but they are meant to help us survive. If I know those rules, then I survive. And I think, but it's not a line, it's not a cube, it's not a barrier, it's not a wall. The limits are very fluid, they're very diffused, and they translate into laws of action. And I believe, and my suspicion now with what I'm experiencing is that the more you tune into that law, the more you make it work for you rather than go against it and then feel those limits. I think limits are only in our minds, the real limits.
Yeah, I agree.
And what I did with myself, and this is something maybe UK, because you're good with visualization and like this exercises that you're doing, maybe you can do for us, something like the visualization of a limit and then breaking through it. This is what I've been doing, working with myself. was to all this pressure and all this feeling of being powerless in front of what's happening and not being able, like you said, to not to control, but to influence it. I tried to give it I did the exercise to allow the picture of that, the vision of that to come forth. And it was like a prison. It was like a cube, like I was imprisoned. So we have these internal representations of the situation when there's no wall around me, right? Situation could be bad, but could be better than what I imagine it to be. I have no clue. However, I had built around me, inside my mind, this prison, these limits. So we all have this inner representation of these limits. What would be for you, for instance, Danielle, if you think of limits, what would that be?
Do you know what? I really believe that our bodies are a vehicle. I believe our bodies are a vehicle and our souls are limitless. So a vehicle has limits. If you're going to bash it, metal, that's going to bash. We are bodies. That's our vehicle. But our spirit is limitless. So once we start getting a grasp of who we authentically are inside, spiritually, then anything's possible. So that's my answer, really.
Yeah.
My answer. Yeah.
So, but anyway, that would be a good exercise for anybody watching now to do. If you feel stuck and if you feel you reach some limits, you know, give a picture. What's the picture that comes to your mind when you're thinking of those limits?
Yeah.
When you feel like you really cannot endure, what is there coming to your mind? What's that picture?
Yeah. I like
and
that.
See if you can change it a little bit. What I did, because I could not, I was trying to, but I could not change it. But by yourself, it's not that easy neither.
No.
But what I did, I created a door and some windows. So I allowed some freedom. If I want to stay there, I could. But if I wanted to come out a little bit once in a while, I would. And so it helped, because it's true, even though I do have moments when it's really harsh, it's very, like, emotions are strong. And especially it's not just in my mind. Witnessing your child suffering and being in agony and pain is very hard to endure. I mean, no matter how positive you are, it's hard to witness.
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. It is.
It's heartbreaking. Yeah. So I said, okay, I might not be able to be, everything is wonderful and beautiful and this will pass. But at least once in a while, I can access that door, I can open a window, and I can have some insights. And another thing that I've done, and because I'm working on this Aryuveda course, and I have a class on karma, and it's interesting how working on the material for this course, I'm actually going through this karmic experience. And so, it's helping me. I'm teaching and I'm working on the material, and at the same time, it helps me. So it's fantastic. I think that's the best scenario possible. And I've done this hypnotic practice to be used during the class by the students. And of course, I practice it on myself. Everything that I do and teach, I do it on myself first. I'm the lab where I test all these practices. And the hypnotic session is very nice. First of all, you go into a relaxation state. And then what I do, I just ask the questions: what is the learning from these karmic experiences? What are the resources that are available to deal with this experience? Because sometimes we can change it, sometimes it doesn't change, but you can use the resources to go through it in a better way. I also ask the question, what is the key to solve this? And also, what's the gift? What is the gift that is contained? And what is the answer that is contained in the question? Because the answer is always contained in the question. The answer to what I'm going through now is in the situation itself. So I can't have the answer without the situation. So I just make my brain, work during the night, falling asleep with these questions, and also visualizing myself in a couple of months or weeks or years, looking back at this moment. After having gone through all this, with all the wisdom and all the knowledge and all the experience that I would have gained then, and projecting them back to me now. So these are the tools that I'm using to deal with this. And
that's brilliant. That's great.
I'll send you the recording if you want to.
I do actually.
I know you don't need it now, but
No,
for those who
funny
need it.
enough, I mean, I went through a flipping emotional time a couple of weeks ago, and Kate helped me, because you know, we're all human, we're all experiencing this at different times and different things, and different things hit you at different times, and you know, like, so it could be hormones plus something else and all of a sudden that's it, that's enough to make you just go bang. And I was so grateful, because it was Kate that literally just made me, she just literally just went kabang, and she did her magic, and she
yeah, you say that, but as you're saying, you know, that was already there inside of you. You just had to connect with it.
Oh, but I didn't know how.
It's like you say, you get stuck into this place, and then it's hard. And sometimes we need someone to get us out of it. Yeah. Sometimes you just watch the TV and someone says something on the TV and it's just a spark and it's just all you needed. Yeah. And other times you need some more professional help to get.
That's right. It's funny because
it's always there inside, and that's what I would say. There's nothing wrong with you.
No.
There, you've already have it. You have it all.
Yeah, it was the way that you guided me, though. It's like if I was doing it for someone else, I'd just be sort of kind of like led, and I would be able to do it. But when I was trying different NLP techniques on myself to try and, because I was feeling these things, I was trying to change my state, and I was doing it, but it wasn't really doing it. You know, it was just like. And when Kate did it, it cleared.
So what precisely have you worked with? Because you guys know what you're talking about, but I and the other viewers don't. So can you?
Oh yeah, of course. So okay, you probably remember more, but I know it was I had like a see, it's hard to remember now because I don't feel like this.
No, but the method itself, the tool.
It was connecting. I had like a barrier over my heart, which is all. I feel like my heart is sprinkly colours, rainbow everywhere, right? But I had like a grey barrier blocking it, protecting it, you know? It was like a protection of my heart. And what Kate did was directed me to, it was very clever what you did. And to be honest, I was half hypnotized anyway. So I was so relaxed. I don't really remember. But you kind of directed me to be able to, we called it a name. And then we kind of like rolled it to one side and let it sleep there, because it was important and valuable to have that protection, but it wasn't serving me now, and the purpose wasn't serving me now. And I wish I could remember it better, but whatever it did, hey, you can do it more. Okay, you could explain more than me, because you know what you did.
Well, I mean, it is like this. We have these parts of us that protect us from feeling things which are too uncomfortable to feel at the time. Yeah. And they tend to get built, you know, in early childhood, these parts that tell us this part of us, either this part of us is unacceptable because we learned that this part of me is bad, because as a child, we don't think I did something bad. We think I am bad for doing this thing. So that makes me a bad person. I must never show this part of me again. Or we decide that feeling is far too uncomfortable to ever feel again. So these parts sort of become like protection for us, and we build these walls that we were talking about, and then we build like guards on the door to make sure no one ever gets through that door. And so for you at this moment, you had that part of you that was protecting your heart, but it stopped you feeling that you wanted to feel. So you couldn't even access that good place. And so it was just talking to that part and saying, right, you can stand down now. We don't need you right now. Yeah, we do need you at times. Sometimes Danielle does need to protect her heart from being hurt by people, and know when it's the right time to say no to somebody and set a boundary, and not just wear your heart on a sleeve all the time. But it's just a case of negotiating. Really, it's a negotiation of conflict. There's two parts of you in conflict, and we're saying, right, that part needs to stand down now, let the other part now take over. Because all parts of us, no matter what part we have, there's always an opposite part to it in us. We have the ability to be anything. That's what we're saying. We're limitless. But sometimes one part gets too strong, and it's like this. It's always like we're trying to balance like this tightrope, where we're trying to balance all these feelings and emotions and parts of us, and trying to find our way forward while still walking this tightrope and not falling down into this pit of despair that's underneath, in the dark.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's all about finding that balance and finding our, not just the parts of us that are maybe blocking the door from being opened, or, and also knowing what is it that matters to us, what really matters. And that's the stuff we work for. That's the stuff we really fight for. But too often we're fighting for, the new car or whatever, and we get it, and then we find out that was meaningless, and we've wasted years working too hard for something that really didn't mean anything. And so it's like, the other thing is finding out what really matters, and then that's where you put your effort and your energy, and that's where you spend your time. And it's the same with people, spending time with people that give you that energy, not just suck it all away.
That's right.
You've got to decide, what you're gonna do with your time and your energy. They're very important things. That, energy is limitless once you get into the flow of energy, and time is limitless once you step out of the whole time thing as well, because day follows night follows day, as Susie was saying. It's like the whole yin yang thing is, there's always, everything's there. It's just a case of where you decide to focus your attention and your intention for your life. And what is life but just a series of moments? That's all it is. And tomorrow is promised to nobody. Like yesterday we had a call, Ron's brother has had his second heart attack, his younger brother. It's like tomorrow's promised to nobody. So make the day, focus what's important, and like, if making that choice of where am I going to put my energy. And if I've got no energy at all, then maybe my choice is I just need to sit and rest, that deep rest that we talked about, just
rest, yes.
Just allow yourself to build up your energy again, and to stop watching the news and all the depressing stuff, and just do things that make you feel comfortable and good. And your body just needs to rest, and your mind needs to just let go and allow, and then build yourself up to a point where you have the energy to start working on these feelings again, or at least to start going out there and doing what you need to do just to pay the bills, and then start doing the deeper work once you've got the energy to do it. And if you've got somebody to help you do it, even better, because you can have their energy. They can help you. They help you regulate by just being in that place, like we do. We hold a space for somebody, so we give them space, where a safe space where they can share and open up and feel safe enough to do that. And then we give them our attention, we give them our energy, we give them our belief that we know what they're capable of, and we give all of that, and that in that space then they can start to heal. And that's what we do, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, you're both so magic. I honestly, like, I'm so grateful for both of you in my life, because generally I'm but there are times where I'm
and we all are, and that's the thing. It's not, there's nobody out there, and if anyone says they are, then I challenge them to be more honest, because everyone is full of insecurities and doubts and everything else, and yet some of them you kind of learn how to feel the fear and do it anyway, kind of thing. Learn where your limits are, or for your body, because your body just says that's enough, but you don't need to. But those limits change all the time. So it's like, all you need to do is listen. What is your body saying?
And that's the thing as well. We can't fight other people's battles. I think that's what we try and, because if someone's going through something that we care about, or if someone's just going through something, we can't do anything for them. They have to do it for themselves. All we can do is be a support, really, and give love.
Yeah,
that's all we can do. And also send good intentions as well. I think that's quite important, because you can connect with people on a a different level, so you can sort of like visualize how they're going to be and sort of send it to them. You can do that, all your intentions, but it's so important. Your energy is to conserve and to do you know, it's your fuel for your body. It's your fuel for your car. Your energy is your fuel. So your spirit's limitless, but your body isn't. So it needs to run. And if it needs to run, it needs certain things to run. So be very mindful that by giving out energy to something that is not going to be affected by what you're doing, that's fuel you're giving out that you can't get back. So got to put your oxygen mask on first, right? And then you can help others. So I think I can't believe it's been an hour.
Yeah, well, too bad. I wanted to do a little bit of a little exercise.
No, please do before we go. We'll end with this. So everybody that's watching, we're going to end with this exercise with Susanna.
Yeah, well, it's basically because we talk about the limits. I was just listening to you girls.
Yeah, please do. Love that.
Just to do a little exercise that will help your unconscious mind, help you in this process, because, you know, it's easy to say, let's say, oh, you have to be positive out there, but you know, the unconscious mind has to be infused with this as well. Else, you know, the old habits, you know, they die hard. So
of course,
even though you set the intention, if you don't have the support of the main unit, the thinking unit, your unconscious, it's a bit harder. So basically what I want to do is just to take the time to feel those limits, see those limits, hear those limits, and then just allow them to either dissolve or push them further away. So whatever feels like more appropriate to you. So everybody watching, and you two girls, if you want to do that with me, or just, you know,
of course,
you can just be part of it. If you want to intervene, you know, you're more than welcome. So if you want just to take a few moments and close your eyes, take a deep breath, and then inhale and exhale with a sigh. That's right. Making sure you're comfortable there where you're sitting or laying down, and whatever you're worried now or preoccupied with, you know, think that you can always take back these thoughts when you're coming out of this relaxation. For now, just put them aside and allow your body to relax even more. And during this practice, you may go, you know, and reach a sort of a hypnotic state as deep as you want it to be, either a very deep level of light trance or a very light level of deep trance. And you know how to do that, because usually you do that exactly before falling asleep, when your body just drops. That's right. And for a few moments, imagine or visualize or simply feel this flow of warm and relaxing energy moving down through your body from the top of your head towards your feet and toes, just like honey moving down through an empty vessel. That's right. Allowing your body to relax fully and deeply. Your head, your shoulders, your spine all the way down, and your chest, your solar plexus, that's right, your stomach area, your navel, the lower abdomen, your legs, your thighs, your knees, your calves, and down to the feet, feeling good and relaxed, because it's good to feel relaxed, and you know it. And in this relaxed state, just ask yourself this question: where do I feel limited now in my life? What is that area of frustration where I feel I can't do enough? I can't do more? That's right, that particular area of your life. And when you think of these limits or this limitation that you're experiencing, what comes to your mind first? Is it a feeling? And if so, where is it in your body? How does it feel like that limit? Is it a picture? Do you see something? Does it have a taste? What's the taste of that limitation you're now experiencing? That's right. What do you see or feel or sense when you are experiencing these limits? What's the emotion? That's right, because in this very relaxing place that you are now, in this safe place that you are now, you can allow yourself to feel a little bit of that. That's right. It is safe to do that. And now ask yourself this question: what can I add or change in this picture, on this feeling, so that I can start accepting it more, feeling more at ease? Can you infuse some light into this picture? Can you push a little bit further away those limits? Can you choose to bring more light into that feeling in your body? And what resources are available to you right now to help you break through those limits? And that's right. And you might have answers right away, you may not. It doesn't matter. Because your unconscious mind is now looking for ways, solutions, and answers, so that you can be more at ease, connect with who you really are right now, right here, through these limits. That's right. And allow this process to happen from now on, the background of your mind, for as long as it is required, in total respect of your integrity, respecting your rhythm, your safety, so that from now on, especially from the moment you open your eyes, you can feel slightly better, lighter, more at ease. And when you know that this is happening, you know that this process is complete, you can take a deep breath and just come back to now. So whenever the process is complete, you can start becoming aware of what's going on around you. And I'm going to count down from 5 to 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you can come back into this reality, opening your eyes and feeling refreshed and energized.
You're amazing. Your voice is so hypnotic. Yeah, you feel better. Everyone feels better. Thanks,
It's
Susie.
very short to do something. Like you need more time and you need to go even deeper. But I wanted at least for those who struggle and those who feel they have no help, and those who have no resources, those who feel they have no resources or they have no tools or nobody to talk to, at least they have something. So
thank you so
a
much.
little bit of something.
That was wonderful.
That's beautiful.
Thank you so much. So anyone that's watching, I hope you got value in what we were talking about today. God, these women, honestly, that I'm with are incredible, absolutely incredible therapists. And if you need to reach out to any one of us, please do. We will be happy to help you in any way we can. These are challenging times, but we are all going through the same things, just in different ways. So we're there for you. There's always someone to talk to. There's always someone to reach out to. So anyone that you feel that would get value from this video, please share it to them. I just want to say thank you to you both for coming and joining me again today. Oh, I love you both so much. And everyone for joining us, thank you for being with us. And we'll see you again next time. I'm going to sign off from the live. Oh.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Oh, that was amazing.